Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب وأحلم يجله ووجه أحمده سبحانه وتعالى وأشكره وهو أهل حمد وثناء وأشهد أن لا إله إلا وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ومصطفى اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وأهله وصحبه وسلم. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah Almighty. It's just amazing that this life is such a test for us. And anything that we don't have in our hands, that we cannot see with our physical eyes, or hear with our physical ears, we don't believe in it. And Allah says that this is the book without doubt. For those who fear me, who believe in me, believe in unseen, and give what I have given them. They give out of what we have given them. I mean, that's such an amazing message. Because to know that Allah has given you something is to look to Allah for something and expect Allah to give it to you, and to know what Allah has given you, going to give you before there is a physical manifestation of what He's going to give you. And this is what we don't get. So we run into mosques, we run into churches, we run into synagogues, we run into temples. We read all these books. And we only know because we read a book and see it. Now it's in existence because we read it in the books. It was not always in the books. Somebody put in the book something that was done before it was seen or heard. When the Prophet Muhammad received the revelations, it was only 27 years after his death that it was put into print in the Quran. Yet the people around him, the Sahabas, they were going from east to west, north to south, spreading Islam. The Prophet, peace upon him, could not read or write. So therefore, it was probably people around him that couldn't read or write. They had to have it in themselves through their belief system of recording it in their being. Seeing it in their being, believing it in their being, hearing it in their being, seeing it in their being it in their being. Before the physical manifestation, those are believers. And yet, the respect that we have with people is based on what they got. Well, so-and-so got all this money. So-and-so got all this respect, so we must respect them. They got this power, so we must respect them. You have to understand something here. We have left out the very one who brings us in existence and takes us out of existence. And to do something, we got to think about something before we can do something. See, that means that we're not in tune to anything. Because the Quran is in the present continuous. Allah Almighty is not between any pages. So that's an ongoing process of connection. Like the earth rotating on its axis, it never stops. And if it wasn't moving fast enough so that we could have the pull of gravity to keep us on earth, when you look up the sky, you're really in space. You're looking about space. And if it stopped, we will all fall off and be drifting in the sky. But the fact that there are angels that's remembering Allah Almighty, they don't sleep, they don't eat, they don't drink, they don't procreate, are remembering Allah Almighty. From the remembrance of Allah Almighty, they're keeping the axis of the earth going in rotation, and everything revolving around it. Getting sunlight, getting darkness, getting water, getting all the things that's coming on the earth to provide for the human beings who are supposed to be the representatives of Allah Almighty, who really don't have a clue about being a representative of Allah Almighty. They're reading books, yeah. They're going to mosques, yeah. They're going to churches, yeah. They're going to synagogues, yeah. They're going to temples, yes. But do they really know who they are and whose they are? Do they really know? Allah Almighty, He starts the surah of the ants with Tahsin. It's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, then it's Tahsin. And it's a verse. It's an ayat. Allah uses Tahsin as an ayat in Quran. Well, you cannot translate Quran anyway, because these are the words of Allah Almighty. There's not enough human vocabulary that could translate Allah Almighty's words. So there's only a rendering. But we do have something. People say, well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, from the human translation is in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. That's the rendering. But when you see Tahsin, what you say, it ain't related to anything you can think of. But it's a verse in Quran from Allah Almighty. When Allah Almighty is saying that this is the book without doubt, guidance in it, no doubt, for those who believe in me, believe in unseen, who fear me, and give out what we've given them. Allah is not talking about just physically, mentally, mentality people. He's talking about, yes, that, but he's talking about those who are dealing with something else greater than themselves within themselves. He says those are the believers. Those are the ones that actually can represent him. Allah starts to show in the ants Tahsin. Then he talks about a lot of the prophets, may Allah be pleased with all of them, the relationship he had with them, and the relationship they had with him, and then with that, vice versa. And Allah says, well, look at Suleiman. Solomon, we gave him the ability to control all the jinn and all the men, all the animals, all the wind, everything. Allah gave him that ability. And there was Bilqis, who, she was a queen. She had a throne. But But they were worshiping the sun. It was coming up, it was going down. When the sun came up, it was like, God is up. They were worshiping the sun. They were sun worshipers. So Sulaiman alayhi salam sent her a letter, headed it, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. 19 letters, 19 alphabet characters, each character meaning maybe more than 24,000 in meaning, each character. It ain't just in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. It's a little more than that. Now it's going to her and it's hitting her mentality, but what it's really, really hitting is that part of her that is affecting her belief system to think that what's greater than her is a sun that rises and sets. Okay, that's the beginning. You're thinking of something greater than yourself. You're not saying that you are Allah Almighty. Prophet Abraham alayhi salam went through that process. So Allah Almighty is hitting that part of her that's looking for guidance, that's looking for Him, that's seeking Him. And Sulaiman, Allah Almighty is being represented in the person of Sulaiman alayhi salam. He sends the letter. She gets the letter. She said, he sent me a letter and he's inviting me to him because he wants me to worship something other than the sun. That our belief system is off. So she calls all her wazirs together, all her council members together, and she says, you know what? I don't want to make a decision without you. And they come to her and they say, you know, we are strong. We can resist any army. And we are ready to fight. But the decision is yours. Throw it back on her. Because they felt something too. They're like, what's going on? I mean, who's going to be saying? Saying something like this. We ain't never seen this before. They had never seen the language. Just seeing the language in itself was an awe, but then the energy of the language really got to them. And they said, well, okay, yeah, well, you make the decision. Because it also was reaching something in them. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd. So she said, okay, well, I'm going to send him a gift. She sends him money, treasures, gold. He gets and says, what's this? The treasures that he had were greater than anything anybody can give him from this life. But she didn't know that. She would have been moved by that, but he wasn't moved by that. He was controlling the wind, the jinn, and the men. So he said, you know what? Really got to show the sister something. She's seeking, but she's seeking in the wrong direction. She's seeking the creation of the Creator. And a jinn said, I could get her throne before you could stand up from this meeting. One who had understanding and had connection to Bismillah Rahman Rahim, understood it within his being, the power of it, knew it was from Allah Almighty, knew the power of it, the miraculous power of it, said I can get it within a blinking of an eye. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Bam! Throne is there. So they called Bilqis. And Suleiman was saying, let's call her and see if she's going to recognize the throne. See if she's a believer or unbeliever. See if she's going to go for belief or she's going to stay in unbelief. She comes out. Here's the thing most people don't talk about. She comes out and she walks, and it was, Suleiman made it to be glass over top of water. She comes out and thinking she's stepping on water because she knows this is her throne, because she said this is my throne. She knows that at her throne, that particular situation is water. But then she steps and she's stepping on glass. Here's what people never talk about. It was so real, she thought that they were visiting her. She said, Suleiman's God is God. La ilaha illallah. Suleiman Rasulullah.
Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Takbir. Allahu Akbar.
So if Allah Almighty would do that for Suleiman, what would he do for us? Because you have to understand that when the Prophet Muhammad made his Isra Miraj, and he was saying, two boulders from Allah Almighty, he says, oh Allah, also give this to my nation. He says, if they're going to be like you, I'm going to give them what I gave all the prophets before you and what I'm giving you. SubhanAllah. We're in the opportunity of receiving that. We're the nation of Muhammad sallallahu. But we are not yet like him. So we have not yet inherited the power of 124,000 prophets plus what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ inherited. Look at the streets, the crime. Look at the world. Still people are thinking that through politics they may bring in the best solution for humanity. Allah Almighty never sent officials to get the people together. He always took someone humble from somewhere. Took Dawood, a sleep sheep herder, had him to defeat Goliath. He was just praising Allah Almighty. He was in tune to his being with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He over-understood that being because his being was connected to it. He was not connected to Allah Almighty through his physical being. Because your physical being cannot translate Allah. You can't translate Allah's word physically or mentally. There's nothing in this world that can translate Allah Almighty's word. So Allah says, believe in those who believe in unseen, who fear me and believe in unseen. Come on, that's a whole nother level. We run into these mosques on Friday, churches on Sunday, synagogues on Saturday, temples almost any day, and we don't know. Come on. When Miriam, the mother of Jesus Christ, was pregnant with Jesus Christ, Isa ibn Miriam, Allah be pleased with him. Amen. Everybody thought that she had fornicated. And when her uncle went to talk to her about the situation and found that the place she was in was full of sustenance, dates and food and all kinds of things to nurture her and support her, he himself was a man of God. He said, where did this come from? How did this happen? And she said to him, you mean you don't know? But isn't that the question that can put to most of us? You mean we don't know? Who are you hanging with? What's your mentality? Are we the ones that Allah Almighty addresses in Quran? That this is the book for those who believe in me, fear me, and believe in unseen, and give out of what we've given them. Are we those people? Are we those people that Allah Almighty was rebellious to Allah Almighty and Allah's wrath is on us? So we have to know who we are. If we always behind the 8 ball, always coming up short, don't not believing in what is to come for us, that Allah Almighty has our best interests, Allah brought us here, and Allah is going to take care of us, then we are not the believers. We're candidates for belief, but we're not the believers. We're not those whom Allah Almighty will establish and strengthen power in the land. Like the relationship He had with all those who were believing in Him through their hearts. Because no one can take Allah's words through their head. You got to take it in the heart. So we're asking Allah Almighty, begging Allah to open up our hearts so we may be like those whom Allah is pleased with. And that He may be able to work through us to bring about the greater good for humanity through us. And not to leave this life not knowing who we are and whose we are. Woman love that figure Fatiha. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd. A'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, wa salatu wa salamu ala karil mursalin, Muhammadin nabi ummi wa ahlihi wa sahbihi ajmain amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. We thank Allah Almighty. And when that gratitude is a sincere gratitude, Allah is pleased with us. Nobody wants to go to hell. Nobody wants to live in hell. And Allah knows that. Allah knows that. That's why Allah's mercy come on us over and over and over and over and over again. When Musa asked the earth to suck up his cousin Korah, because Korah was saying that Musa had committed adultery, and Musa said, everyone that believed Korah be on that side, everybody that believed me be on this side. And he asked Allah Almighty to destroy Korah, and Allah says, you do it. And Musa said, earth, suck him up. Earth sucked him up. Korah asked him 70 times for forgiveness. Never forgave him. Allah spoke to Musa and said, Korah asked you 70 times for forgiveness, and you didn't give it to him. If you had asked me one time, I would have given it to him. If you ever do that again, I will erase you from the scrolls of prophethood. So who is Allah Almighty? Most gracious, most merciful. So His mercy keeps coming, keeps coming, keeps coming. So when we die, after Allah has given us warning after warning after warning after warning, mercy after mercy after mercy after mercy, we deserve hell. We deserve it. Hell comes from us, not from Allah Almighty. Allah says, don't die unless you're in the state of Islam, in the state of tranquility and peace, in the state of submission your will to Allah Almighty. Allah says, don't die. Then after that, mercy comes to us so we can submit, and we don't die in that submission. Hell. What's wrong with us? We got to get beat down. We got to be humbled. And Allah says, anyone exalt themselves, I humble them. Anyone humble themselves, I exalt them. Allah exalts the ones that are humble toward Him, that obey His mercy of gratitude, show graciousness and gratitude for His mercy. They don't take His mercy for granted. Oh yeah, I know Allah give me. That's not how it goes. That ends. It's an expiration date on that. And we don't know when it's going to expire. So we have to be doing, when guidance comes to us, follow guidance. What's the guidance doing? What is guidance telling us? The Prophet said, if you got to go to China for guidance, go. It'll be worth it. Because once you're guided and you remain with guidance, it's only a one-time deal. You straight. Just follow the guidance. Follow the yellow brick road. We saw that in The Wiz. So many signs. That was the path that took them to where they needed to go. If they had gone any other way, they wouldn't have gotten there. Allah always makes the path easy for us. He always makes it obvious. It's just a shaitan cohabitates with our ego to make us think evil and to be misguided. We just get older and dumber. We begin to hate ourselves, we get angrier, become full of pride, full of arrogance and difficulties in our lives. Running into mosques, churches, synagogues, temples, thinking that it's everybody else and not me. We're asking Allah Almighty not to be like those people. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.